let me just address that too. Is that, I think at one point in the hearings yesterday, and we have some clip from those hearings that I may want to play you, but at one point Senator Menendez went on a story about a bully when he was in New Jersey or something to that effect, and that whole notion, this credibility notion. It seems to me like, yeah, I think there's some value to that notion if you have an 8-year-old child.
Yes.
Speaking from experience, if I tell my daughter, look, if you do this again, you're not going to watch, you're going to lose TV privileges this weekend, and I don't take away the TV that weekend, then it's the wrong lesson. But my 8-year-old daughter, the forces that act upon what she does seem to me to be far less complicated than those that act upon a leader of a country with broad constituencies and broad cross currents that are affecting sort of how that leader responds to things. I mean, that's really
Absolutely
the issue,
right? I mean, that is in some of the pieces I linked to in my piece. There are, as you said, a whole range of factors, and a whole, that the Assad government might look at in determining how the United States might behave in the future. And this goes for Iran as well. We heard Iran mentioned numerous times in the hearings yesterday in the Senate, saying that if we don't do this, Iran will think we're not serious about, preventing them from obtaining a nuclear weapon. And I think it's patently obvious that Iranians are smart enough to understand that, the way the U.S. views their possible nuclear weapon as different from, Syria's use of chemical weapons.
All right, let's this is a good time. Let's play this clip. I want to play this exchange between Udall and Kerry on Syria. It's a minute and a half or so. We may stop it because I just want you to address some of these points as we go through, because there were some parts of what Kerry was saying yesterday in testimony in the lead up to it that this was sort of like a Munich moment, implying that in some way, if we appease Assad, then we're Assad is gonna invade Poland. I'm not exactly sure how the logic goes, but let's play this clip. Hopefully you'll be able to hear this here. Okay, we're gonna play it and then we'll stop it at different points.
We're being told we're bombing in order to send a message. But what message are we sending? To the international community, we're saying once again, the United States will be the world's policeman. You break a law, and the United States will step in. Americans are understandably weary. After the fiasco of Iraq and over a decade of war, how can this administration make a guarantee that our military actions will be limited?
This is not sending a message per se. This is having an effect, an impact. This is taking action to achieve something more than just a message. It is to degrade his current capacity.
By degrading him, you make
pause it for 1 second. Let's talk about that, because I want to. This is the argument that the Kerry is sort of like he's having to sort of straddle a line here. The message, ostensibly, right, would be you can't get away with chemical warfare without being punished. Now, and this you mentioned in your piece that that there's not necessarily great evidence that shows that if we don't do anything, we're going to see a rash of use of chemical weapons, right? Because we didn't do anything when Iraq did this in the early 90s, late 80s. And I can't think of another time since then, 20 some odd years ago, where there has been any other use of chemical weapons.
Right. And I think it's, first let's note that the United States, would support it, if not just acquiesced in Iraq's use of chemical weapons against Iran.
We've all seen that picture of Rumsfeld shaking hands with him, right? I mean,
that's right. But yeah, as I note, we did not see an outbreak of dictators using chemical weapons after that. Now, granted, the sample size is very small here, and Syria could be an outlier. But the basic point I try to make is, while I recognize that the international norm against chemical weapons is a global progressive good and something that should be supported, given the whole range of costs and benefits here, It just doesn't, considering especially the possible consequences compared to the possible benefit, it just doesn't come down in favor for me.
All right, I want to continue on with this clip because this is an interesting moment where, and I can't quite, I'm not quite sure I understand exactly what's going on here. Now, Udall says, if you're not just sending a message and you're degrading Assad's capacity to wage war, because we're not degrading his capacity to wage chemical warfare, right? Because we're not going to touch those stocks because of fears of what happens when you blow up chemical weapons. But Udall seems to be saying, aren't we helping possible extremist elements, as you mentioned, sort of Al-Qaeda affiliates in the opposition? And then Kerry says either doesn't understand the question or sort of completely pretends he got a different question. Keep the audio playing.
This is not sending a message per se. This is having an effect, an impact. This is taking action to achieve something more than just a message. It is to degrade his current capacity.
By degrading him, you make these extremist forces stronger, do you not?
No, I don't believe you do. As a matter of fact, I think you actually make the opposition stronger, and the opposition is getting stronger by the day now. You said, how do we know it won't result in X or Y or Z happening if we don't do it? Let me ask you. It's not a question of what will happen if we don't do it. It's a certainty. Are you going to be comfortable if Assad, as a result of the United States not doing anything, then gasses his people yet again, and the world says, why didn't the United States act?
I don't believe that we should have given up so easily on using the United Nations.
We haven't given up.
Us. Yes, we have. We haven't taken Russia to task. We haven't taken China to task, and that's what we should be pointing out at this point.
All right. So let me just ask you this: under what authority? I mean, John Kerry's saying that the rest of the world is going to be upset if we don't do anything at this point, and it's quite clear that the rest of the world is not necessarily gung ho for this. What authority does the United States invoke to police the chemical warfare treaties?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, traditionally the way you do this is you get a UN Security Council resolution that authorizes the use of force. I mean, states are permitted to defend themselves, but there's obviously no case here that the United States is under attack. So yeah, I mean, as an international legal matter, there is no authority here, and I think that's very problematic. Now, recognizing that Russia and China, but mainly Russia, is blocking action on the UN Security Council, I think there is a fair argument to make that the U.S. needs to try and turn to other sources of legitimacy for its action, as we saw NATO being used in Kosovo when Russia played a similar blocking role on the Security Council. But without NATO, without even our strongest and most important ally, Great Britain, supporting us, there is a very real question here of how legitimate is this action. I think this is actually something that played a deciding factor in President Obama's decision to go to Congress to try to generate some domestic legitimacy for what he's doing, to try and then parlay it into greater international support, which we don't really have right now.
I mean, that to me seems to be the nub. I mean, I don't know that we have a perfect way to say, in situations where there is a perception of an imminent slaughter of civilians. We don't have a perfect way to make that determination. That's really what the function of the UN should be. And it seems to me that, you could there's a plausible argument that because NATO is involved in the the chemical warfare treaty of, I think, is in '93, that there's an argument there that maybe Turkey's interest, or I don't know, but we don't seem to have any grounds upon which to function in this way, other than some sort of a broader sense of like we've got to do this.